Yo, what's going on to this pre-Thanksgiving episode on the usual scheduled Wednesday, where we are going to dive into some topics and current events. We're going to cover three stories, but the main thing we're going to do today is talk about an indictment that is something crazy. It's about this indictment we're going to read is probably about the craziest government takeover that I've ever seen, all to be able to have some luscious women and be able to have a super clapathon session. It's a wild indictment. We're going to dive into that and cover a few more stories. As always, I'm Marcus. I'm a licensed attorney. I've been doing this for over 15 years. I've been in the game for a minute. If you get some value out of this content, I invite you to like, share, subscribe, comment. A salute to everybody who support the channel, and a big round of applause to the channel members. I definitely appreciate you all. So let's go ahead and talk about our first story today. This story is actually interesting. Let's go ahead and cue up the story. We're going to break down what is felony murder, how the felony murder rule is applied, and talk about this case. Let's dive in.
And topping our news tonight, an East Alabama teen convicted as an accomplice to murder, learning his fate today in a Russell County courtroom. Emotional pleas from the parents on both sides of this case before the judge rendered his final ruling for 18-year-old Jadarius Snipes. But it was his mother who ended up in handcuffs during this proceeding. Newsletter 9's Alexis Thornton joined us live from our newsroom after being at that sentencing hearing. So, Alexis, tell us more about this courtroom drama today.
All right, so before we get to the courtroom drama, let's talk about felony murder, what felony murder is and how it's applied. Okay, felony murder. If a person dies, passes away, loses their life, get deleted during the commission of a felony, everybody involved can be charged with felony murder. That's the general rule. What is the example you normally see? Well, normally the age-old scenario that they give is a person is performing a bank robbery. On their way from leaving the bank robbery, they're running out of the bank. They run past an old guy, and the old guy falls and has a heart attack and dies. That person will probably be charged with felony murder because the person died during the commission of a felony. The fact that the person died wasn't necessarily associated with the actual felony criminal transaction is kind of irrelevant. Some states give a little bit of flex to that, but generally, if someone dies while you're committing a felony, you're going to be charged with a murder. That's the felony murder rule. That's how it works out. The death doesn't have to be the necessary result of the criminal felony that's being convicted. Another one you can see is, let's say, same scenario. Someone's committing a felony. It's a bank robbery. They've pretty much gotten away, and as they're walking out of the door, a lady who's 105-year-old, her heart just stopped, but she has a heart attack and died. Even though she was predisposed to all these health conditions, felony murder. So that's what felony murder is. That's how it applies. Let's go ahead, jump back, and see what happened and why this dude, Moms, was the one who ended up getting arrested.
Well, Jason, two fathers stood before the judge today with completely different pleas. Snipes' father begged for mercy for his son, while the victim's father demanded justice with the maximum sentence. But tensions escalated when Snipes' mother was handcuffed before the judge sentenced him to 45 years in prison.
I want you to see this because I lucked out because of the fact that I didn't want to hear them saying stuff.
Jadarius Snipes' mother, Mary Herbert, left the courtroom after an investigator spoke to the court, referencing a social media picture the morning after the killing of Brian Bowles. The investigator says the photo showed Snipes with a gun and throwing gang signs with younger boys, influencing them when officials say they should have been in school.
I'm entitled to be angry. I'm entitled to be pissed off. I'm entitled to walk away when I don't want to hear BS.
The judge ordered deputies to place her in handcuffs after she refused to come back inside the hearing.
So for anybody to try to condemn me or force me to listen and tell me I wanted you to be there for your son, no, you wanted me to listen to y'all lies.
I don't know the facts of this case. Hey, shout out, first comment of the day. Thank you. I appreciate you as always. I don't know the facts of this case, but mom doesn't seem like she's living in reality. Yeah, the facts could be trumped up charges. It could be overcharged, but probably not. It's probably legit. I don't know if her son showed remorse, showed any type of remorse during this actual hearing. But what I do know is her behavior and not wanting to actually hear the sentence or actually be there for the sentence as her son was getting the sentence is kind of goofy. And it's just like, it's just not a good look. Like, judges are the people who handing down them sentences, and they are inclined to use any factor, be it a factor that's warranted or not, to make their decision. Your behavior isn't going to help your son when it comes down to him getting this sentence for this felony murder that he ate.
Because if you was actually there for my son in a judicial way, you would have never allowed none of this stuff to happen.
She is just making excuses for her son and for his actions and not taking responsibility, and he doesn't either.
I don't disagree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that statement 100%. I've seen it all the time. I've been in cases where I had clients and we were entering a plea agreement, and before you enter a plea agreement, you have to give your version of the facts. And so you give your version of the facts to the defense attorney, and the prosecution give their version of the facts. And I've represented kids who were 16, 17, who parents had no clue. Like, either they had no clue or they were living in willful ignorance that their children were out here and heavily involved in gang and drug culture. Like, when they hear the facts, they ugh. Like, they shocked, and I'm like, what the hell? It just makes no sense. So I do think it's a bad look for the mom. It's not going to help your son. And some people, some parents, it's tough to hold your kids accountable. Some parents, your kid can be 30 years old, come in the room and take a dump on the floor, and the first thing they're going to say is, well, you already know he had a weak stomach. That's just kind of how it is. And that's the approach that I think the mom is taking in this story.
Snipes was sentenced to 45 years for felony murder and 20 years for robbing Douglas Rutledge before Bowles was shot in the Synovus Bank parking lot on 13th Street in Phoenix City in December 2023.
Parole at some point, I don't know when. The family and our office will be notified on any future parole dates, and as far as I'm concerned, we will begin objecting as soon as the parole dates come up.
And Snipes' mother says he will appeal in 42 days. The 15-year-old who pulled the trigger killing Bowles is serving time in a juvenile detention center, but due to his age, his sentence is sealed. CSU students also made a video tribute to Bowles that played in court today. Reporting in the newsroom, Alexis Thornton, WTVM News Leader 9.
No problem with 45 years. No problem with 45 years. No problem with 20 years. No problem with what happened to moms. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, the mother got a right to leave, but you're disrupting the legal proceeding. I'm sure they probably told her to calm it down. I'm going to be honest, I don't know how she acted, but I guarantee you, whatever she did, it probably wasn't quiet. It's just not giving a quiet objection to what her son was going through and how she felt her son was being wrong, even though her son took the life of another young man. So let's go ahead and pivot to a crazy story. I don't even know. This story is actually crazy because I don't know the why. Like, some things aren't meant to make sense, and that kind of is problematic for me because I always want to know why something is happening. But sometimes we aren't meant to know why. But let's take a look at this story. I don't know if it's a revenge plot, if it's I don't know what it is. It's a crazy story. We're going to go down to the A and check out this story. Let's dive in.
Gwinnett County man is heading to prison. A jury convicted him of carrying out a violent crime spree targeting former teammates. Central Gwinnett County Bureau Chief Matt Johnson's live at the courthouse. And Matt, one of the victims was left with brain damage.
And it's truly a miracle that that victim survived. And it's not the only shooting linked to one defendant. It's during a crime spree that prosecutors say lasted about 6 months.
his normal is completely different.
Talal Ansa fought to survive the shooting that left him with brain damage and 8 gunshot wounds as he came home from work last December.
The one place that's supposed to be our safe haven has been destroyed.
Now his family's fight for justice has come to an end after the gunman's betrayal led to a conviction.
I think we're a lot more at peace now knowing that, he's behind bars.
On Monday, a jury convicted 20-year-old Jet Horn for shooting his former South Gwinnett High School basketball teammate.
Okay, now, y'all just heard, this is kind of what's wild. He goes on a crime spree, shoots his former high school basketball teammate 8 times. The gentleman barely survived, is brain dead. That's absolutely terrible. This guy being sentenced is 100% the correct move by the justice system. Hey, he needs to get up out of here. But it's interesting because this wasn't the only teammate from his high school basketball team that he attacked. So it's a pattern of him going back, trying to delete his high school teammates. I think he robbed one at one point. This is one of those things where I just don't understand why he specifically targeted them. I don't know if they all were robberies, if it was just him having some grudge against them or what, but it's weird and doesn't make any sense.
8 times, including once in the head at Ansa's family's home near Snellville. The 21-year-old survived, but the violence didn't stop. 3 months later, police say Horn shot at another former classmate and stray bullets hit neighboring homes. In May, he carjacked a 3rd victim at gunpoint. Ballistics linked all 3 attacks, but the question of why still lingers.
His family spoke, and of course, they talked to my mom and apologized and everything. But I think it had something to do with a mental health crisis.
No. I think that mental health is a real thing. People do have mental health crisis, but we got to stop it. That's crazy because she actually is a victim in this case. It was her family member or her partner or whoever who almost died and is brain dead. They lived together at that home. And she's like, oh, I think it was a mental health breakdown. Nah, I'm not giving nobody a pass shouting out and saying that it's mental health without any forensic evaluation saying it's mental health. Sometimes things aren't mental health. It's just evil out here. Sometimes things are mental health. Sometimes things can be mental health and evil. But I'm not just jumping on a mental health boat. I wouldn't advise anyone who is a victim of a crime to jump out and be like, oh, I think it's a mental health thing without having any substantiated proof that it is actually a mental health issue. That's something for the courts to decide, not you. So generally, I'm not giving anybody the benefit of the doubt until it's proven.
Jury convicted Horn for each shooting and sentenced him to 30 years with 25 to serve in prison. For the Ansa family, healing begins with hope.
We've come so far in the past 11 months, and at this point, it's only up from here.
And Ansa's family says the doctors are optimistic because of his young age. They are hopeful that he can walk and talk again. The family says that he'll undergo therapy when he's ready for it. Live in Gwinnett County, Matt Johnson, Channel 2 Action News.
Hey, I hope and pray that young man is able to have a recovery, able to have some semblance of a normal life, what he was used to before, being able to move and talk and do those basic fundamental things that a lot of people take for granted. But it's just weird to track down high school teammates. Like, I don't know. I would love to know the why behind this. The fact that it didn't come out as a motive throughout this legal process, it leads me to believe that this guy probably wasn't given much information. And he wasn't one of the types, because a lot of times when people go on crime sprees, they like to leave, now people like to leave manifestos and go on social media. So I doubt if any of that happened, considering we got all the way to this guy actually being sentenced and actually having to go off and do his time, but we never got the why to this story. So talking about why, this next story is interesting because this is actually a crazy story. Hey, the two brothers, the two white guys on the thumbnail, okay, had an interesting plot to take over an island in Haiti, to take over an island that's under the geographical control of Haiti for a weird purpose. They wanted to get rid of and delete all of the men and use all of the women as sex slaves. I don't know. This is actually a crazy plot. As soon as I heard it, I was like, yo, I got to actually pull up the indictment. So we're going to go through the indictment to find out what exactly happened. Is homeless people as soldiers in this story? Is people trying to learn how to sail a boat and being unsuccessful? This story is actually crazy. Now, before I lay out this story, I will caveat this story by saying, hey, I have some female friends who are very good acquaintances of mine who are from Haiti, and hey, all lovely women, very beautiful, all dark chocolate skin. Hey, we love it. All of that good stuff. But this plot is a bridge too far, and how the hell they thought they were going to even get away with it, we are going to dive into the indictment. So let's go ahead, cue up this indictment, and it's going to be quite interesting. Let me go ahead and cue this indictment up. Oh man, I got so many windows open on this computer over here. Hold on, I gotta open it in a different browser. Sorry about that. Give me a second. I had it open, but for some reason it wouldn't open in that browser. Now I gotta log into my Pacer account. All right, let's see if we can get this. Let's see if we can get this thing to work. Window. Hold on 1 second. Man, this thing acting crazy. All right, give me 1 second. I gotta log back into my Pacer account. Sorry about that. I thought I had it all squared away, and now it's not squared away. Court case locator. We're gonna look up Mr. Gavin Weisenberg. I appreciate y'all patience. Let's submit that. Find parties, last name, Weisenberg, first name, Gavin, search. Let's see. Docket report, run report. Let's scroll down. Notice of hearing, indictment, merged, view document. Let's cancel that. Share screen, window. All right, cool, perfect. I don't know why I was acting up at first. I appreciate y'all patience while I get this indictment up so we can talk about this crazy ass case. All right, so I haven't read this indictment. I kind of got the story briefly on the news. I don't know all of the nuances, but you can see this is new. Filed November 20th, 2025. Eastern District of Texas, the Sherman Division, United States of America. Versus Gavin Weisenberg and Tanner Thomas. Defendants Gavin Weisenberg and Tanner Thomas, residents of the Eastern District of Texas, beginning in August of 2024 and continuing through July of 2025, Weisenberg and Thomas and other co-conspirators developed a plan to recruit and lead an unlawful expeditionary force to travel by sailboat to the Republic of Haiti specifically Ghanaive Island, murder all the men on the island, assume control of the island by force, and carry out their great fantasies by turning the remaining women and children into sex slaves. This actually makes no sense. The population on that island is 85,000 people. So, one, thank God this ridiculous plan was thwarted, but we got to look and see how ridiculous this idiotic plan was and how it had no chance of possibly working. All right. The Republic of Haiti is a sovereign nation. Ghanaive Island is an island located off of Haiti's coast to the west-north of Port-au-Prince. Ghanaive Island is a territory of the Republic of Haiti and has a population of approximately 87,000 residents. 87,000 people is a lot of people to take over with military first. I was never a military general as an ex-military combat veteran, but you would need a sizable force of personnel, but you would also need a lot of resources, equipment, because 87,000 people is a lot of people. All right. Object of the conspiracy. The object of the conspiracy was to unlawfully carry out a coup d'etat on the island of Ghanaive in the Republic of Haiti. The co-conspirators conducted research, reconnaissance, recruiting, planning, and sought training to effectuate their plan. It was the goal of the conspiracy to take military control of the island of Ghanaive by murdering all the men on the island and capturing all of the women. Upon capture, the co-conspirators intended to turn the women and children of the island into their cheek-clapping slaves. The co-conspirators planned to purchase a sailboat, travel from the United States to Ghanaive for their attack. The co-conspirators planned to recruit and hire members of the District of Columbia's homeless population to be part of their unlawful expeditionary force. How ridiculous is that? Like, okay, this is actually ridiculous. Not only you want to get there by sailboat, but you want your military force to be made up of homeless people from DC. Hey, if somebody said you have to run a military occupation using homeless people from any state or city within the United States, Washington, D.C. would be the last group of homeless people that I would want to use to try to have a military occupation. So this idea is just looking bad all the way around. It was also the object of the conspiracy to acquire and use weapons during their attack on Ghanaive. The co-conspirators researched weapons and ammunition and planned to purchase military-type rifles to use their attack. Further, the object of the conspiracy was to unlawful and knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree to commit any offense against the United States and the United States, knowingly being providing and preparing a means for an armed attack to be carried out from the United States against the territory and domain of a foreign state, namely the Republic of Haiti. All right, manner and means of the conspiracy. Weisenberg and Thomas, along with co-conspirators known and unknown by the grand jury, acted in concert to carry out the objectives of the conspiracy through various means, including but not limiting to. Okay, let's see what they did to move forward with this dumbass idea. Conducting a military expedition and enterprise with the intent to overthrow the government of Haiti on Ghanaive Island, planning, scouting targets, and identifying methods for subduing and murdering the male population on Ghanaive, with the purpose and intent to murder, kidnap, and rape the other persons on the island. Recruiting others to join the military enterprise and armed coup attack for personnel for their expeditionary force, and in some cases, recruiting personnel in exchange for money. Planning to acquire, operate the means of transporting their expeditionary force from the United States to Ghanaive, specifically by purchasing a sailboat for this purposes. The co-conspirators also planned for at least one member of the conspiracy to obtain trailing and sailing the boat for the purpose of their armed coup. Planning to acquire firearms, munitions, and explosives to be transported by sailboat from the U.S. to the island for their coup attack. The co-conspirators planned for one member of the conspiracy to enlist in the United States military for the purpose of obtaining military training useful in carrying out their armed coup attack. This just gets dumber and dumber the more I read it. The plan was for one of the members of the conspiracy to enroll in first responder training, specifically firefighter school, for the purpose of learning command and control protocols that would be useful in carrying out their armed coup attack. Communicating over social media platforms and meeting with each other in person to plan the attack. All right, overt acts. Overt act, we talked about this before. Overt act is a step in the furtherance of this dumbass coup d'etat that they're trying to plan to take over this island. In the furtherance of the conspiracy and to achieve the objectives, the defendants committed and caused to be committed in the Eastern District of Texas and elsewhere, at least one of the following overt acts among others. Weissenberg, Thomas, and others made operational and logistical plans to overthrow the government of the Republic of Haiti between July of 2024 and May of 2025. Weissenberg and Thomas engaged in Haitian Creole language training for the purpose of facilitating their armed coup plot. On or about January 7th, 2025, Thomas enlisted in the United States Air Force for the purpose of obtaining military training that would be useful in carrying out their armed coup attack. Now, real quick, I just want to talk about how ridiculous this is, because nothing against a salute to all of our armed service branches. I appreciate everything that you all do. But if you had to join the military to learn tactics to be able to take over a government regime, I don't know if the Air Force would necessarily be it. You may want to go to the Marines or the Army. Hey, y'all need a damn boat. Maybe the Navy. I don't know. So that's actually wild that they was like, yo, we need to get this training so we can learn how to have a successful coup d'etat and learn military command and control tactics. And they said, Eureka, I got it. Let's join the Air Force. I would love to know what their job was when they joined. Now, on February 28th, 2025, Thomas confirmed by social media message to Weissenberg that his purpose for enlisting was to further their planned armed coup attack. On or about August 5th, 2024, Weissenberg enrolled in the North Texas Fire Academy in Rockwall, Texas, for the purpose of obtaining training in command and control protocols that would be useful during their armed coup attack. On February 8th, 2025, Weissenberg failed out of school and was dismissed. This should have been, everything should have been a red flag, but the fact that you didn't even have the competency or the skill set or the knowledge to actually pass the North Texas Fire Academy in Rockwall, Texas, you signed up for it all to go in the furtherance of your dumbass plan so you can have all these beautiful Haitian women all to yourself. And you failed out of the class. Once you failed out of the class, that should have been a sign like, you know what? Maybe the Lord has something else in store for me. But no, they just wanted to double down on their stupidity. On or about February 20th, 2025, Weissenberg purchased plane tickets to travel to Thailand, at least in part for the purpose of enrolling in a sailing school to learn to sail the boat the co-conspirators planned to buy as their means of transportation for their armed coup attack. Once in Thailand, Weissenberg ultimately did not enroll in the sailing school due to cost. This is stupid. You enrolled in the sailing school. You got to Thailand. Okay, shout out to you. You should have just went there and had a good time, enjoyed yourself. But you got to Thailand to enroll in the sailing school because you need to purchase a boat to be able to sail to the island so you can take out the men and have all the luscious Haitian women to yourself. I'm tracking your plan so far. You go to enroll in the sailing school and you don't even have enough money to enroll in the sailing school. How the hell are you going to buy a boat? If you can't enroll in sailing school, you can't get a boat. I don't know a lot about boats, but my dad has a boat. Boats aren't cheap. And you need a boat where you can carry your homeless soldiers that you recruited from DC and equipment and all this other stuff. This idea is just the dumbest ideas I've ever seen. On various dates between August 24 and May of 25, Weissenberg and Thomas attempted to recruit others, both online and in person, to join their expeditionary force for their armed coup attack. On March 14, 2025, Thomas, while in Air Force basic training, successfully changed his initial station assignment from Ramstein Air Base in Germany. Hey, shout out to Ramstein Air Base, been there. To Andrews Air Base in Maryland for the dual purpose of, okay, so you didn't want to go in Germany. You should have went to Germany, bro. You would have had a good time, travel the world. Trust me, you would have loved it. But you said, no, I want to go to Andrews Air Force Base in good old Prince George's County, right outside of D.C., for the purpose of, one, remaining in the United States to facilitate the group's armed coup attack, and two, being located near the District of Columbia to facilitate recruitment of members of the area's homeless population to serve as members of their unlawful expeditionary force. Of all of the stupid things that's going on, trying to recruit DC homeless population to utilize as your soldiers to arm with weapons to go in this coup is probably the dumbest of everything. Everything was kind of dumb, but that was really dumb. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's being from DC. I've seen the homeless population. Like, hey, you got a mental health group. You got some people who are down bad. You got some people who are homeless because they choose to be homeless, even though they don't need to be homeless. You got the drug population. Can you imagine? It's kind of ridiculous. All right. So let's see. All right, the grand jury. Let's see. Count 1, conspiracy to kill or kidnap persons in a foreign country. Eastern District. All right, Weisenberg and Thomas knowingly conspired and confederated in greed, known to the grand jury to commit at any place outside the United States an act that would constitute the offense of murder and kidnapping if committed in special maritime and territorial jurisdiction. In so doing, committed the act within the jurisdiction of the United States. They plan to essentially kidnap and delete people in international waters. When you talk about the maritime, that's a special sailing water type of thing. So it's all stupid. Count 2, sexual exploitation of children, production of child pornography, aiding and abetting. They did employ, persuade, entice, and coerce minors to engage in this type of activity, explicit conduct, for the purpose of providing visual depiction of such conduct. These guys are creeps. Okay, it says specifically the defendants, Weisenberg and Thomas, did employ, use, persuade, induce, entice, and coerce minor victim 1, a minor known to the grand jury, to engage in explicit conduct for the purpose of producing a visual depiction of such conduct, to which a video, and did aid and abet each other in doing the same with using the internet and digital services that they owned and possessed. So they got an asset forfeiture notice in here. This is the absolute most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard. I don't know. Are y'all familiar with Haiti and the governmental regime over there? We're going to talk a little bit about it. Oh. Hey, I know. I appreciate it. Hey, I appreciate you. Marcus Robinson, I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody in the chat. Let's talk a little bit about the government of Haiti. Let me go ahead. I want to pull this up real quick. There's one person I want to bring up with regard to Haiti. Let's see. All right, let's go ahead and pull this up because a lot of you all don't know. But Haiti has a pretty tumultuous government regime. There are a lot of warlords there, and we're gonna talk about those warlords. Let's go ahead and pull one up real quick, just so their plot had no fundamental sound basis in reality or common sense. Okay, these guys clearly weren't smart. They joined the Air Force to learn command and control tactics. They was broke as fuck. They couldn't even afford to. They failed out of the classes they needed to carry out their plot. They couldn't afford the classes they needed. They couldn't afford a boat. And for their soldiers, they wanted to use DC's homeless population. So dumb. Each thing was dumber than the last. Well, let's pull up this Wikipedia so we can take a look at this gentleman right here. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pronounce his last name wrong, but I believe it's pronounced Jimmy Cherizier. Okay. Now, this gentleman's nickname is Barbecue. He's a Haitian rebel and gang leader, former policeman, and warlord. He is the head of the revolutionary forces of the G9 family and allies, known often for making public appearances in military camouflage and a beret. He calls himself the leader of an armed revolution. All right, so let's go ahead and go down. Allies. Alleged massacres. The G9 has allegedly been responsible for numerous massacres of civilians in Haiti. These include the May 2020 massacres across various neighborhoods in Port-au-Prince that killed 6 to 34 people. Another in August of 2020 that left 22 dead in April of 2021. So we can just go through this. The unrest there is so unstable. It is highly unlikely that even if there's ridiculous plot to have a military coup, even if let's say they weren't dumbasses, let's say they utilized their Air Force training, let's say they had enough money to buy a boat, and they actually were able to recruit homeless people from DC and give them M16s. And sail and actually get to the island that's close, not too far from Port-au-Prince. 85,000 people. How many homeless people with guns do you think you would need to be able to take over an island of 87,000 people? Even if they actually got to the island, the chances that they would have been able, now if they got to the island with guns, there would have been casualties because they are people getting to an island with casualties. But there is no way that they would have made it. Actually, these two gentlemen on this thumbnail, Mr. Thomas and Mr. Weisenberg, they should actually thank the federal government. The federal government probably saved their lives because had they even tried to actually get in a sailboat, one, they probably would have died at sea because they don't seem like they're that bright and they probably would have been terrible sailors. But even if they would have gotten to that island, between the citizens, the warlords, the government, those guys would have probably ended up being deleted and not being here. This is actually the craziest coup I ever heard of, planned by two idiots. It's going to be interesting to... I don't know who came... I just don't know. I don't know who was sitting around or what they were smoking to say, yo, I got this idea. You know what's some good-looking women at? Haiti. Yo, I think we could take over that island, bro. It's only 87,000 people. I know it's just the two of us, but with some guns, some homeless people from the nation's capital, and a sailboat, I think we could do it. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. I don't even know how that idea came into fruition, but they should have been charged for stupidity. Should be a crime for certain things like this. Yo, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment. On a scale of 1 to 10, being a 1 being absolutely would not have happened, and a 10 being they would have took over and been king of that island, how successful, if they actually had the competency, money, and resources, do you think they would have been storming an island of 87,000 people with a bunch of homeless people from DC with guns? I'm gonna be honest. If you gave, I don't know what population you're looking at, but I'm in DC. I'm from DC. I'm born, raised in DC. I don't know if you want to get those people M16s, bro. I just don't think that that's the best idea. Yo, y'all let me know what y'all think about this story in the comments. I'm about to get out of here. As always, y'all have a good one. Be blessed. And hey, you all have a happy holiday season. Enjoy this time with your family. If you're going out to eat, be safe. If you're staying home to eat, enjoy that time with your family. Watch some good football. Enjoy some good food. And the best thing to be is grateful for what we have right now. this. We're among the living. You're able to watch this, hear this, communicate, interact. Hey, we're definitely all blessed. Let's be grateful for the things we have because it could always be worse. Y'all take care. I love y'all. I'll see y'all Friday. Be safe. Be blessed. Peace. Bernie, what's going on? AA Legal Focus, what is going on? Shout out to everybody in the chat too. Thanks.